You know, we were told in the last few weeks, I feel like I should just start doing a segment. We were told lies by libs, ... But this is another good example of it. We were told by people like Nancy Pelosi, who was out there saying, they're stormtroopers, the federal government agents, law enforcement officers who were trying to assist in the protection of a federal courthouse in Portland, that they're bad people doing bad things. They are the reason for the riots. That was the part of this that you really have to remember. They were the cause of the rioting. And there was this effort also to pretend there weren't riots, and then that failed because of some intrepid actual journalists and people who show footage. Now, not the mainstream journos, really. It was other citizen journalists, people like our friend Andy No, who just show what really happens here. And then it's really difficult to make the case that these are mostly peaceful protests when everybody sees that they're throwing rocks and using weapons against federal law enforcement. They're dressed up for battle. They're not dressed up for a peaceful protest. We've seen all that. But remember that the Democrat position on all of this was that it was the presence of the federal law enforcement officers that was causing the problem. It was their deployment that was the reason for all the bad stuff that we then had to at least all agree was happening because there was so much video of it. Well, you've got 2 nights now in a row where the police department in Portland, remember that it was handed over to them, and the mayor of Portland, Ted Wheeler, Antifa's errand boy, and the governor in Oregon. I mean, these leaders were saying the problem was the federal law enforcement officers. Just get rid of them and the rioting stops. They're the Now, no one really believed this, but it just shows you how dishonest the libs are about all this stuff. We were quite aware that it was going to, I'm pretty sure I actually said here on the show, hey, there are going to be more riots. This is not going to stop. But now we can all look back to when Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats were making that absurd claim about federal law enforcement. And now we see with our own eyes exactly what is going on here. Continued riots, more nonsense, more madness. And the police chief in Portland is now saying that the cause of racial justice is not being helped by these riots. Remember that. These Antifa members, they're really using Antifa tactics, but they think they're part of Black Lives Matter. And this anti-cop sentiment that Democrats embrace because they need to for their political party, they need to for their aspirations for power, that has had an effect on cities all across the country. This has made urban areas worse, and Democrats own that. That's on them. They're going to try to avoid it as much as possible, but they have been reckless. And we are now suffering the consequences of this as a country. What's going on in Portland is a continued disgrace. These Antifa lunatics should be locked up. They should spend some serious time in prison. Rioting is a crime. Destruction of property is a crime. And the laws either count or they don't. They don't get to have it both ways. I know the libs love to pretend that they can have it both ways, or they try to have it both ways. But they're unable to as long as we are in a position to hold them to account on this. And that's why I keep saying, you want accountability, you want justice, you got to win. That's what it really means now in politics. That's the truth. You want accountability, you've got to have people who are not completely insane in power. Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.